Minute is rated R. The Rocky Horror Picture Show is also rated R. We're going to spend this time discussing the movie in gory detail, and along the road we will talk about some adult content and use some of our favorite swear words.
Iba, Isat, Ihia.
Consider yourselves warned.
Welcome to Rocky Horror Minute, the podcast where we discuss the Rocky Horror Picture Show 1 minute at a time in excruciating detail. I am your host, Kelly.
And I'm Leandra. And today's going to be kind of special. We have a wonderful special guest for the next couple of episodes. It's a man who's better than normal people, but that is a low bar. My friend and yours, Oscar.
Hi, everybody. How are you?
If you're wondering why we say Oscar is better than normal people, I am going to link it on the Rocky Horror Minute Facebook page because it is absolutely delightful.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. So, Oscar.
Hey, yes.
How long have you been doing Rocky?
So I started doing Rocky Horror February 29th, 2004.
Oh, wow.
Thanks, Kelly.
No, I'm laughing that you knew the exact date. I guess because it was a leap day.
Yeah, it was a leap day, which made it a lot easier to remember. And I had a few year gaps here and there. I was with a cast in Fairfax, and then I was with the cast in DC, which I've been with the longest. I semi-retired at some point in October 2016, I think. But like semi-retired, I do perform if like a cast needs me somewhere, or if someone just wants me to guest perform at my old cast in DC.
Yeah, we pull Oscar a lot as needed.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
One of my favorite tricks is casting myself as Rocky and then having Oscar do it instead.
Yes. I do, not counting Hat Nights. The characters I usually tend to do are Brad, Rocky, a Transylvanian, Dr. Scott, Eddie, Trixie. I did retire Frankenfurter, but I don't know. Maybe I'll bring that one back one day.
Oh, yeah, I've never seen you play Frank, I guess.
It was okay. The makeup needs a lot of work.
I'm not saying Alaska Thunderfuck wrote a song about it, but she did release Your Makeup is Terrible shortly after that would have happened.
Yeah, that is an accurate description, yes.
Oscar, do you remember the first time you saw the movie?
The first time I saw the Rocky Horror Picture Show, let me start with when I first heard about the Rocky Horror Picture Show. I was watching that episode of The Simpsons where, for some reason, Dr. Hibbert goes to the theater and they're showing something else. I can't even remember what movie they were showing. But he was like, this movie, I thought they were showing the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And like he was dressed in like a women's clothing. And as a little kid, I was so confused by that. I'm like, what the heck is this show that he thought he had to come dressed up like this? And it wasn't until like a year or two later that I saw in the TV Guide that they were showing Rocky Horror on VH1.
Oh.
So I caught Rocky Horror and I was enjoying it. And up until Frankenfurter came out. And then at that point, I was so in the closet that I would actually turn off the TV at that point or turn the channel to something else. And it wasn't until I was around 17 or 18 when I actually saw the Rocky Horror Picture Show from beginning to end, went on the internet and started to read about the audience participation and the cult following behind it and how much people enjoyed it. The first time I saw it with an audience was at George Washington University. They do it during Halloween. Then I found out there was a cast in Fairfax next to George Mason, where I was going to school, that was doing it. Went there for a few months, and then by February, I was on cast.
That's awesome. So how old were you when you saw it and you were closeted and had to turn it off?
15 through 17, 18. Just, yeah. I'd get to Time Warp, and then that's as far as I got.
Aww.
I know, it's terrible.
Because there's nothing gay in the movie prior to Time Warp.
Exactly. And it was just like, the 1990s weren't that bad, but they were still kind of bad. So, it was something that I felt very fearful of for my parents to find out. And then, when I finally legitimately came out, they were like, LOL, we already knew.
Yeah. I think everybody knew.
Oh, thank you. I remember the funniest thing someone's ever told me was, Oscar, you know my dog? My dog knows you're gay.
Yeah. That sounds like a wonderful journey.
It was a very long one.
And of course, Oscar and I have known each other for most of that, and we are we're a couple of incredibly like flamboyant people at our job,
Yes.
which is not podcasting, obviously.
No.
No.
Oscar's been one of my oldest friends in the Rocky community, both
Yes.
in the amount of time that I've known him and just in age because he is older than dirt.
Oh, okay. We're going that route now.
We sure are.
He doesn't look a day over 29, everybody.
Oh, thank you. You're just saying that to get me to play Rocky.
So let's go ahead and jump into our minute, though. This is minute 7, and this is the minute that starts with Brad saying Dr. Scott's refresher course. And from there, Brad and Ralph finish their homoerotic fight when everybody heads out, including the wedding guests. Janet wraps this one up with, I can't believe it, an hour ago she was playing.
Old Betty Monroe?
Oh, we don't know that yet.
Yeah,
Knows?
that's not until
Who knows? Ooh, sorry. Foreshadowing.
Spoilers.
Spoilers.
So what do we think about this minute, guys?
I mean, this is some fun stuff. This is kind of the beginning of some very over dramatic just gestures and nonsense.
I've always, so I'm not trying to, I love playing Ralph and I love playing Brad. I think Ralph was one of the first characters I played, but like Leandra said, when you're a Brad, this is really your most shining moment. You don't really get to do much until possibly all the way to floor show. It's an interesting spot because you just don't know. You don't, depending on the cast, it can go either really well or it can go really bizarre. I remember once we had audience members who would be Ralph. The Ralph was very lost, and
Oh yeah,
I was
it
like,
was Ralph and
"Hey,
Betty's. They were both Virgins.
yes, they were both Virgins." And I told the Ralph, I was trying to help the Ralph with the screen accuracy. Never do that. And I told them, "Pretend you're punching me." And they actually punched me in the face. I was like, "Ow!" They're like, "Was that correct?" I was like, "It was fine. Go over there."
Oh no.
Yeah, for those of you who in the audience who haven't been to a Rocky screening or haven't been to a Rocky screening where they do this, because not all casts do this, but at our shows we typically have the winner of the Virgin Games, which is anybody who hasn't ever been to a live screening participates in like some fun pre-show games, and the winner plays Betty Hapschatt in the shadow cast. We have one of our cast members play Ralph. Apparently, I can't imagine having a Virgin play Ralph as well. That would be
Not a wise choice.
I'm leading the blind.
It is fun and chaotic to watch. I
Yeah.
will put that out there. So, one of the things that I was kind of confused about, though, if we're talking kind of chronologically in this minute, is in the previous minute we had Perry Bedden and Henry Wolf as the photographers. And of course, we know that they later become Transylvanians. Perry Bedden disappears in this minute and never comes back. I have no idea where he went. The last we see of him is in the previous minute when he walks away with a wedding guest who I assume just fucking kills him in a forest because we don't see him either. And I mean, it's gory, but thankfully Perry Bedden makes it out alive, later becomes a Transylvanian, and just one of the best ones.
Absolutely. It's fun seeing Transylvanians playing the wedding guests when a cast has enough people for that. I always enjoy that. The fun part about Rocky Horror is you get the benefit of both being a stage show and a movie at the same time. And when you're able to see the other actors who sometimes don't get to be in the big 10 parts, that's usually their time, one of the few times that they get to show off, especially with all the Transylvanians disappearing for the second half of the movie.
Yeah. So I noticed that Peggy Ledger, my favorite Transylvanian, does a trust fall in the background while they're talking. I mean, she really just like falls backwards into a crowd.
Which is a thing that Kelly does. She'll occasionally just be within 12 feet of somebody, perhaps a very trusting friend or boyfriend or what have you.
Yeah.
And she will just scream trust fall and throw herself in some direction.
One time I was with our dear friend Miguel at a gathering, and Oscar was also there, and I tried to do this to Miguel, and Miguel was clearly not going to catch me. He was just like, fall bitch, I don't care. But Oscar didn't know what was happening, but he leapt into motion and caught me. I swear to God, like Fabio. I was like, oh, Oscar.
I didn't know what was going on. It was like, why is she fainting? Is she sick? It's like, they do it in the movie. I'm like, what?
Yeah, you had no idea that Kelly was just drinking some dumb bitch juice.
It's funny that Kelly mentions doing things like that. Sometimes when casts perform Rocky Horror, there's always going to be this eternal battle of being either screen accurate or being fun. And I think that's one of the occasions where being screen accurate is actually more hilarious because you just don't expect it. And I think that's something very special when someone's able to find little moments like that are just sort of bizarre and out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm not somebody I know some people are really dead set on always being as screen accurate as possible. I'm not somebody who thinks that is the most fun way to do it.
It's me. I'm bitches.
I don't you love to do your own fun little twists on things, but I think it's kind of like art. You can break the rules of art once you know the rules and have mastered them. And you need that foundation, though. So it has to be like a choice to not be screen accurate, not just you doing whatever because you didn't learn your blocking.
Yes.
So then we have, just moving back over into this fantastic segue that I'm doing, Betty throws the bouquet, and she does this directly into this crowd of wedding guests, and Janet's the one that gets it.
Okay, couple of things. First of all, Hilary Lobo / Farr, the woman who plays Betty, her idea of an American accent is crazy because she's British. We've all heard her on Love It or List It or whatever. She has like a normal posh British accent. So the fact I have to assume that was just her trying to do an accent when she goes, "Okay, you guys, this is it." So that's crazy. Also, it is Beatlemania for that bouquet in a way that I've never seen.
I mean, isn't that every wedding?
No, I've been to.
What wedding have you all been to? I've seen people fall, break chairs, break themselves, break another person.
God. Okay, well, no. Normally it's like not like that I've seen, but I guess I just haven't gone to the right weddings.
Who's got the clap? Who's got a lawsuit?
Yeah.
I think that the thing that I would love to do in this minute, and maybe the next minute as well, is think about it in terms of, if you didn't know that this was a happy musical, Brad does nothing in these minutes to imply that he is happy to be dating Janet.
What? Yeah. What's that philosophy coming from?
No. Hear me out. So Janet gets the bouquet, and she goes, I got it. And then Ralph goes, hey, big fella, looks like it's gonna be your turn next, eh? And then punches him because that's pretty gay.
Yeah.
And then Brad just kind of looks constipated and goes, who knows?
You know, that was one of my questions for this minute. Does Brad decide to propose like right now?
No, I mean, he has the ring.
But maybe he's waiting for the right moment. And then he was like, I guess it has to be now. First of all, don't, just word of advice to all our listeners, do not even bring an engagement ring to somebody else's wedding and
I
don't
was about to say that.
but
I think that's kind of what happened, where he might have had the idea of proposing there, and then he was like, you know what? I should not do it now. I should wait till the bride and groom are gone. So now, with the bride and groom gone, the wedding guests out of here, all there were was, even the two old people are kind of off screen by the time he does it. And we never see him again. He's like, well, now that we're in the privacy of our own middle of nowhere America.
I mean, and that's probably true, but if you look at these couple of minutes through the lens of Brad is deciding to either break up with Janet or get engaged to her, it becomes real silly real fast, at least for me.
and listen, I know a few couples who have gotten married after deliberating on that. I mean, it was really like, we either split up or we just go ahead and get married because we've been together for so long.
If they hadn't proposed, would there be a movie?
They could have gone, oh, breaking up with you, but we're still going on that trip, so get in the car, loser.
But they only went to Dr. Scott to tell him about the proposal.
That is true. So really, don't get married.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and also, like, I don't know what kind of Tuesdays with Maury bullshit that is, but we can talk in a future minute. Can you imagine being like an aging professor and having some kids show up on a random night and be like, we got engaged after meeting in your class? He'd be like, okay.
Thanks.
Yeah.
That's how did you get my address?
Yeah. The paint on the car that pulls up to Ralph and Betty away.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Okay.
First of all, I don't think that it's paint.
Whipped cream?
Oscar.
It looked like whipped cream to me. Like, I saw it, I'm like, I want to eat this car.
Oh my god, Oscar, I love
In fact, like, the first time I saw it, I was like, is this one of those cake cars? Like, looks like a car, but it's actually a cake?
So, a couple of things just to throw out there. I know that everybody's curious. That car is a 1964 Ford Falcon Deluxe Sedan, four-door, 54D, which is not a cup size. It's how powerful the engine is.
Was it named after a horse?
On the rear window, it says just married, and on the back hood, there is a heart, and there's something that I think are boots attached to, I'm guessing, the fender. I mean, that makes sense. On the side, we see in all caps, wait till tonight. She got hers, now he'll get his. And there's misspelling on tonight. It's the NITE spelling of that. Also, the G looks like a 6. The front of the car. Hey, I'm looking at this for those details.
No, I understand.
Right, but so that paint, or
I'm not there yet.
Okay.
I am.
All right.
The front of the car has something on it. I don't know what. And I know that you're saying paint, but I don't think that they had puff paint for cars back in ye olden 70s. So I think that shaving cream is often kind of the traditional thing that is used. At least of the one time that I have destroyed somebody's car on their wedding because I thought that was funny, we use shaving cream. A problem with that is some of those completely destroy the paint job. It could also be wet toilet paper, just to give it some bulk.
So you're talking about the lettering?
Yeah, the lettering.
Okay. That would be a pain in the ass to do with toilet paper.
But it's 3D. I still say it's whipped cream.
Okay. Oscar, for you, it's whipped cream.
I'm not going to go into the logistical problems with that, but whatever it is, I love the message because it is a dark and weird thing. It's like the first clue, or not clue, I should say it's like the first really overt sign we get from this movie that it's not sincere about all of you know what I mean? That makes sense. It's the first bit of like dark humor in the movie.
It's funny you mentioned that. I was watching this minute, and something I didn't notice before, even though it was plainly obvious, that this minute takes place in bright sunshine. Like I could see like the sun just hitting the back of Brad's head, and I was kind of like, oh, like I thought the storm was there right from the get go, and she got lucky to get her wedding done. No, it's like bright sunny skies um, during this minute. So it's interesting you mentioned that they still threw some kind of hint right there, right at the beginning, near the beginning of the movie, a couple of minutes in after the title, after the lips go away.
For me, that feels kind of like the we're getting married on Friday because Saturdays are for the boys. And it's cringe.
One of like the first time, or one of the first times I watched the movie, I remember being like struck by that moment because it's so reading that, it's like, whoa. you know so anyway, that is something that really stuck with me from the beginning when I first saw this movie.
It would be interesting, only because I could see somebody watching this in 1974, 75, and just seeing it as just like, oh, guys being guys. But I think it was, probably the director's intention to just show that this is just like a stereotypical heterosexual, the girl's supposed to get the wedding, the guy's supposed to get the sex kind of thing.
Right.
Which looking at it through this lens is kind of like, it's not always like that. Also, rude.
Yeah. But you normally would not overtly state that in writing on someone's car.
On their wedding day.
Yeah.
If you like them, probably not.
Yeah.
So, as I was looking through this minute, I discovered something that my mind just glossed over. This church has valet service.
Oh my
Obviously.
God, you're right. Rufus was the one driving.
Or the chauffeur was like, fuck it, I'm out of here, and made Ralph drive himself. I have no idea, but the chauffeur gets out, and you're right, it's Rufus Collins, who was just as not credited for being the chauffeur as being a Transylvanian. He's not anywhere in that list. And he walks right on out.
Did he also get murdered?
Well, okay, so here's the thing. All of these people just leave, and I'm assuming that they're just getting murdered. Like, because there is no parking lot, there are no other cars. As soon as Betty and Ralph drive away, the vast majority of the wedding guests chase after them like a mob of hungry zombies, and then you never see them again. So they either win and they kill them, or they just get lost in the woods and we never see them again. They don't come back for their cars.
Yeah, I mean, this was not very carefully blocked because Ralph, for example, drives off in the exact same direction that we're going to, in a minute, see Brad and Janet start walking. So unless he's just careening through the cemetery in that car, it doesn't make a ton of sense.
Breaking down all the tombstones. Yeah. That's what his was. His was wanting to use his car to ram all those tombstones down.
You heard it here first. Ralph is a sociopath. That's what Oscar says.
The first time that was ever said, especially after watching Shock Treatment.
I mean, fair.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, Ralph drove off to begin Shock Treatment.
We get our first close-up of somebody in this minute too. You see Brad's gorgeous face to the point where you can see every pore on his cheeks, and when he goes and adjusts his chin with his hand, you see that he's got a perfect manicure, and he's got this very gaudy gold class ring with a ruby or garnet, and it's just, and I know I keep talking about Brad's gorgeous hands, but they look beautiful. I would murder for a nail bed like that. My nails never look that good.
It's whenever I do that scene, the particular theater in DC where I perform with Leandra and Kelly, there's a glass that the projection has to go through, and you can see the movie in reverse, but you can mirror it, and you'd be doing the exact correct screen accuracy for it. I always use that to cheat and know exactly when to put my hand completely looking at the audience. Don't even have to like have it at the end of my eye to know when to do it.
Do all movie theaters not have that?
I don't think so. No.
I don't know. Well, so did you have anything else for this minute, Leandra or Oscar?
I have a few.
Okay.
I love it when everyone's like, la 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 ah, and they just have the Smurf getting smushed on the car. You guys don't do that callback?
No, we do the callback. I was trying to remember when there was an
hair.
actual honest to God Smurf in
No,
this,
not
and
an
I'm like,
honest
honey,
Smurf.
no,
Like, that's
no.
that's the callback. They're like, and then it's Smurfs 0. No, it's Audience 1, Smurfs 0. And what else? Yeah, that's just the callback that I enjoy during that part.
So Oscar's talking about when, but that's in a future minute.
No, it's this one. Yeah.
Yeah.
This ends with Janet going, "Oh my god,
oh my god!"
So
Oscar's talking about when Brad walks over to the car that Ralph and Betty got into, and he kind of taps twice on the back of it.
Thunk, thunk.
There's a common callback where people will say, get the Smurf on the back of the car, anything about there being a Smurf that Brad is pushing.
The Smurf wrote the message on the car.
Yes.
It's true. Shortly thereafter, when we see everybody running away, we see the old lady and the old man who just kind of half-heartedly start running, and then they get out of the crowd and they just kind of give up. And not only is that just me, but it is some of the best acting ever, because the callback with this lines up perfectly with what I'm seeing, which is, damn it, I missed the bus again.
Yeah. Or I also sometimes will hear something like, "Oh, my pacemaker," or something.
I messed up my callback once and said, "Oh, damn it, we forgot the bus."
Aww.
I felt bad. I should be punished.
No. But Brad and Janet are not some of the people that go chasing after the car. They don't seem to give even the smallest of fucks about this car or the rest of the wedding guests, who all go to the forest to have an orgy and kill themselves. They go right back to the church and just hang out on the front stoop.
They do.
Oh, just a quick comment I wanted to make. Something that struck me when I first saw the musical was that is actually where the musical actually starts. Janet usually is just waving toward an invisible car that's not even there, straight after Science Fiction Double Feature is over.
Yeah.
And that's where the musical actually starts. Like everything we saw, I guess, was made for the movie exclusively up until that point.
Right. Yeah.
And then the final thing I just wanted to say, just to put a bow on this minute, is Riff and Magenta in this. They are still waiting outside, and the only look that I can think of that they're encapsulating is irritation that these jerks are still here and they still need to pretend that they're normal.
I didn't know. I knew that was Riff Raff. I did not know that was Patricia Quinn for like 10 viewings of the movie.
Yeah.
Took me a while. Oh, don't forget to talk about the sign.
Oh, the Be Just and Fear Not.
Be Stone or Fear Nothing. The Masturbating Angel. And one of my favorite callbacks that still kills me to this day is when somebody asks why they put a sign in the middle of the cemetery advertising business has been dead lately.
We see the cemetery billboard next minute, I think. But that's a good point. We should talk about some callbacks in general. We've talked about a couple. Of course, the asshole fight also continues through this minute. It's anytime Brad and Ralph are punching each other, there's callbacks about the asshole fight. And we mentioned a little bit, but as on the lead up to Betty throwing the bouquet, the audience usually will start chanting, "Who's got the clap? Who's got the clap?" And that's leading up to, of course, Janet catching the bouquet and screaming, "I've got it! I've got it!" So that's always a huge crowd pleaser. And then a personal favorite of mine, when we get our aforementioned close up on Brad looking really pensive, is, should I tell them that I'm Superman? Because he really does look like Clark Kent, so it's funny. And the only other one that I really had was as Janet's starting to say, "Oh, Brad, wasn't it wonderful?"
No.
Yeah, exactly. Just to, didn't Betty look radiantly beautiful again?
No.
So those are the fun ones for me.
So I think that wraps up this minute. So tune in next time to find out the stunning conclusion of I Can't Believe It, an hour ago she was just playing.
Yeah, and we will still have Oscar next minute. And for the rest of the
Yay!
which is, that should be enough of a draw for you right there.
So let's end this the same way that we end all of our shows, with a very chaotic now. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here, so get the fuck out. We were talking about how we could make it gayer.